Hello, welcome to Read, Drink, Talk. My name is Anthony Renteria.
And I'm Ariel Fletcher.
And in our first official episode, we are discussing Red Rising, a book by Pierce Brown. And Red Rising is a 2014 dystopian science fiction novel by American author Pierce Brown and the first book in the Red Rising series. This novel is set in the future on Mars, and it follows low-born miner Darrow as he infiltrates the ranks of the elite gods. And just as a reminder for anyone just randomly checking in on this podcast or this episode, we will be covering chapters 1 through 12, and we will be spoiling anything and everything that happens in these 12 chapters. But before we begin talking about the book, we have to talk about what we're drinking. What have you been drinking, or what are you going to be drinking, Ariel?
So I know this is supposed to be a Crown type of podcast, but I am out of town this week. So I have gotten some wine to drink. I started off with a little bit of Riesling. And now I am drinking a white Merlot, which sounds really fancy. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing for tonight. It's a little lighter, I guess, than Crown, but it will still get me there.
I'm drinking just a Crown and Dr. Pepper mixed with some ice.
I did take notes, notes is a strong word. I highlighted things, while I was reading things that I thought this was like interesting, or this is something like a common theme, or these are words that I keep seeing throughout. So I did kind of do like a basic kind of like note taking.
You're so smart.
So if nobody thought to do that, maybe as we go on with this series and just, our episodes in the future, that might also be a good idea, is to kind of just take notes as you read along, even if it's something like just writing like LOL on something you thought was funny, or just highlighting something you thought was fun, like just so that you can go back and remember that, like, oh yeah, like that was a moment, or that was something that was really deep or whatever. So that's what I do.
I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, that is a genius idea. Because there was some passages I didn't think of that I was like, oh, I like how he explained this or described. And there's some other parts where I was like, oh, this scene flashed by in like 5 seconds. But I guess just to give a brief little overview, the general gist of what happens in this first 12 chapters is our protagonist's name is Darrow. And I just want to say off the bat, I do not like his name. I was going to ask you your opinion of his name, because I was like, Darrow? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting name. I don't hate it. Would I ever name my child, or would I look sideways if I met someone named Darrow? Probably. But for the book, I'm like, it's fine. Whatever. He lives on Mars. I guess Darrow is a thing.
Or is it Darrow?
You know what? And see, that was something I thought of, like, as I'm reading this. I'm like, some of these things, am I saying this right?
Or Darrow.
Maybe Darrow. I don't know. That almost sounds better. But in my head, of course, I'm reading it Darrow as just like, but maybe that's our American mind, at play here. So I don't know.
I like Darrow. I think Darrow sounds.
His name is now Darrow.
Yeah, okay, we're calling him Darrow. It's official.
I don't care what the author says.
Yeah.
Pierce Brown says it's Darrow. You know what, sir? Fuck you. It's Darrow to me.
It's Darrow.
16 years old. Keep that in mind too.
Oh yeah, I just read that. So yeah, 16-year-old Darrow is a red, which is a low class. Let me start from the beginning. It has been 700 years since mankind colonized other planets. The powerful ruling class of humans has installed a rigid color-based social hierarchy where the physical superior golds at the top rule with an iron fist, and our protagonist, 16-year-old Darrow, is a red, which is like one of the lowest class of workers, if not the lowest class of workers, I think, who toil beneath the surface of Mars, mining helium-3, which is like, I guess it's a number above helium-2, to terraform the planet. And he and his wife, I'll save that for later. So just the general world. I was going to ask you your opinion of this. So like, this is in the future, humans have colonized planets. What do you think about this whole like color-based social hierarchy concept that they're playing with here? Because you have like golds, you have reds, you have
Mhm.
silvers, you have bronze, you have high reds, medium reds, low
Right.
reds. What do you think about all that? And
Well, I I honestly think it's not very far fetched from,
Mhm,
just how society works these days. And even though we're not all like, oh, yeah, like white people are at the top and,
mhm,
yellowish, brownish, light brown people are here and then black people at the bottom,
yeah,
even though we don't say that, I mean, that's essentially how, and I won't speak for like society as in like the entire world. I'll only speak on America, but that is essentially how
yeah,
our society is set up as well. And this is just something that's, a lot more prominent. We're just saying it out loud.
yeah.
But what I think was interesting, even if whatever you're reading that kind of gives that overview, like even them saying the 700 years and talking about the colors, those are
Mhm,
things that Darrow and his, family, his clan, as they call it in the book,
mhm,
they don't know that information. So,
yeah,
like like that's a detail that we don't get until we get to damn near chapter 12. I mean, it might be
mhm,
chapter 10 or 11 where we're finding out and Darrow is finding out that it's been 700 years and we're still
mhm,
colonizing Mars. And there are other colors
yeah,
besides, there's two levels to being a red. There's a low red and a high red. And that's something that Darrow has no idea of until we get further into the book or further into our first 12 chapters. So
yeah,
I mean, I just feel like that's, for me, that's just an interesting like synopsis, because like, damn, he didn't even, which I mean, I guess that's a synopsis of the book generally, not the first 12 chapters, but in the context of ours, he has
yeah.
no idea, and he doesn't even know. I mean, he talks a lot about how there's so many colors he had no idea existed. He's used to seeing, he knows the golds, of course. He's used to seeing the tin pots or the silvers.
Mhm,
I know he's seen a couple of the bronze people, the obsidians. I know he kind of talks about that, but that's essentially all we get in the beginning
yeah,
story. We have no idea. There's such a hierarchy and we are splitting up, colors do different things for society. They provide to the society. They have different job tasks based on what your color is. I think it's
mhm,
definitely more extreme and severe and in your face than what our society is based on currently in 2022, but I still
mhm.
just don't think it's too far-fetched.
Yeah, I agree and beautifully said. Like when I first started reading it, I was like, "Oh, what are they doing?" And it was like I was kind of like taken aback because they kept
Mhm.
saying like the colors are the high class. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Okay, this is like an interesting reversal that this guy is like playing with." And then when I discover like their skin's not actually colored, it's just like
Mhm.
the color of their class, and I found that
Right.
very interesting. And then like just hearing you explain it as well, it's like there is that like clear like I mean we kind of talked about in the intro episode, but like when there's like a millionaire or a billionaire or someone who's like just stupid rich, there's just like no hiding that. And it's so
Right.
weird because you don't know, like they're not flashing their checkbook, and
Right.
most of them don't wear like Gucci or whatever the hell, but there's
Mhm.
like some sort of essence or vibe that you're like, oh, this person's like just fucking rich as shit, and
Right.
it either pisses me off or I want to be this person, like one of those
Yeah.
two emotions. And I think this book or these first 12 chapters really capture that feeling
Mhm.
because, this guy, Darrow, is just, mining in like this
Mhm.
horrible place. Just like, I don't know. I was going to ask you about that part too. Like, what did you think about? So, like specifically like the whole mining thing. So like these people are mining this gas. And I was gonna ask you like how did you imagine because one thing I realized in this book, like I think I'm a bad reader just because I haven't read enough, but I have trouble like visualizing things. And like there was a whole beginning part where he's like in the mines with this big
Mhm.
machine, I guess, and his fingers are driving the machines or
Yeah.
something, and there's serpents and what did you think about all that kind of stuff and like how that was portrayed.
So to be honest with you, I don't think there's anything wrong with, you just being like, oh, well, I'm not a reader, so maybe I couldn't really
Mhm.
visualize this. I just think that that's something that you and I probably don't have much experience with as far as like mining now. Like I've seen a mine maybe on TV and it's a hole and they got those hats with the lights on them. And, you know, I've seen the carts and stuff like that. But as far as like specifics when it came to this, it was hard for me as well to kind of really picture what was going on. I'm thinking like, are these people like suspended from things? Are they hanging from, you know, because I know
Yeah.
he's in the like, you know, he's the hell diver. So he's in this machine and he's working the machine. But as far
Mhm.
as what his counterparts, what his peers are doing, I'm thinking like, what is that? Like what does that look like? I have no idea, but I think that
Okay.
really just I really just feel like that's because we don't know how that works anyways. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, so I
Okay.
really I don't think I don't think it's at the fault of the author, like, oh, they just didn't describe it well enough. And I don't think it's at the fault of the reader if we really didn't understand what the hell's going on, because I don't have any fucking clue
Yeah.
what it looks like to be mining in a hole or underground or wherever the hell they are. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for that was a
Well,
lot more vague for me.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm officially blaming the writer. Because I was flipping through the pages and I was like, yeah, he doesn't really like,
Yeah.
and I do have like that's gonna be, I guess, a reoccurring complaint of this series. I hope it gets better. I think it might get better. But like there's I don't know if it's just this book or just me. Maybe the way I write is I over explain things. Because
Okay.
I was gonna say that too. I forgot to say in the intro, but I have this. Damn, I forgot to look it up. I'll say it in the next episode. But I have whatever. There's a thing that people have that I think I have, which is when you like, if you were to tell me, imagine a fluffy dog,
Mhm.
I can like logically be like, okay, fluffy dog, but I can't actually visually see a fluffy dog. Like in
Okay.
my imagination, I can't just picture
Oh, okay. Okay.
anything. Like it's really hard to explain. And I thought I was the only person that had it, but I listened to a podcast where this other guy said he had it, and I was like, holy shit, that's what I have. And there's like a whole medical term. But so I
Oh,
have
wow.
that. So it's like really hard for me to visualize things unless they're like incredibly detailed. And I think that's one thing I don't like about this guy's writing is that not only are like descriptions very vague, like with the whole mining thing, like he gets the gist of their mining, but he
Mhm.
never like explains like how you're saying, like he doesn't explain the machine. He doesn't explain like, is it
Right.
a giant hole? Is it a small
Right.
hole?
Right.
Are they
Right.
physically there? There's like a part where Darrow, like I guess he gets off the machine or he
Mhm.
dives into a hole to
Right.
read something with the scanner thingy, and then it's hot and he burns his hand. And
Mhm.
I was like, wait, what's really going on? I mean, it was cool, but I
Yeah.
was like, I don't really see what's happening. And then there's like people on the overcom, like, you're crazy, Darrow, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a complaint I'm gonna have as this progresses, I think. I guess one important element too is like all the reds that are mining this planet for this essential mineral,
Mhm.
they've all been like convinced and brainwashed into thinking like the humans aren't here, or
Right.
the humans from Earth aren't here, and that like you're the only hope and blah blah blah. I was going to ask you about, that, and then the like reveal that
Mhm.
happens because of that when they realize it's false.
Yeah. I thought that he did a well, okay, hold on, because I did there is something I wanted to say based on what you were saying based on, you know, the writer's, I guess, lack of detail with these kind of things. But
Yeah,
I think that's just
descriptions.
interesting because you are a writer. That's something that you are thinking about. And you're like, this is a place where maybe the author could have done better. And for
Yeah.
me, as someone who doesn't write, I'm just a consumer. I'm just the reader. I'm like, it's whatever. Like, yeah, I can't really that much. I don't know, but it's probably my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking, oh,
Mhm.
it's not that big of a deal. And like, I have no idea. Even when I was reading that whole scene about Darrow jumping down there and burning his hand, I'm like, I have no idea what this would look like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was really hard for me to picture as well. So
Yeah.
I almost feel like I read over that blindly, kind of, where
Hmm.
I'm taking in the information, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like this is something I can visualize. This is something I can see happening. There's like no picture in my head. I'm just reading words.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as part of the story and moving on. So
Hmm.
that's interesting, and I just think that that's something that only you as a fellow writer would really pick up on and be like, this is somewhere that could use some
Yeah.
work. Or
And that aspect, I think, is like dystopian books, the YA. I think that's like a popular thing, right? Where, a lot of these books, like they don't waste too much time detailing everything, but
yeah.
they're like, it's almost like a popcorn movie. It's like
Mhm.
the only thing that matters is this dude burned his hand because it's gonna become important later,
Right.
and he works in a mine. And then
Right.
like there's all these sequences where like big things happen, but it's not like we don't get like 5 pages of description, which is gonna be like the
Yeah.
opposite problem when we read some of my picks where they're gonna be talking about a blue chair for, 3
Yeah, but
chapters,
I
and you're gonna be
mean,
like,
yeah. I mean, but truly that's something I didn't even think about, because even okay, so now, we're talking specifically about, okay, being in the mines, being in the machine that he works in. Honestly, I don't even remember. I know he's called a hell diver. Is that what the machine is called, or is that what the person's called? I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember if they said what the machine is called, but being in this machine, like in general, now that you say it, I'm like, you know what? This writer does not spend much time really painting a picture of things. I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of it is just kind of like obvious, I guess, where he's
Yeah.
like describing, like he just like gives you the bare minimum as far as like what this actually looks like. Oh, okay, like they're in a city now. Oh, okay, like
Hmm.
his eyes like had like flakes of gold in them, or okay, this girl has like wings on her back, but he doesn't, you're
Yeah, I
right,
was
like
like,
he
wait,
doesn't
like legit
give,
wings?
yeah, like he does not spend a lot of time on the nitty gritty details,
Hmm.
or like making this something that's really transformative, or something like I'm really like, I feel like I'm a part of this book. Now I feel
Yeah.
the story is really, I like the storyline, so I'm
Hmm.
like, the story is great so far, at least for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm enjoying it. But you're right. I mean, a lot of that other stuff is kind of left up to the reader to just imagine. You're like, okay, well, like I have no idea really what Darrow looks like. He doesn't spend a lot of time talking. I
Yeah,
know he's a
shit.
16-year-old boy. I know he's got rusty red hair, but shit, every low red has rusty
Yeah.
red hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even when he talks about his wife, and I've been saying Eo. I don't know if you have a different way of saying that. Do you have one before I continue?
No, I like Eo.
Okay, so I've been saying Eo as well. And so even that, I have no idea what this girl looks like. He just
Mm.
describes her as such a beautiful girl, such a beautiful, and I wonder, like, does he purposely not do that? Like, is it
Yeah.
because we're getting it from the POV of a 16-year-old boy who's
Mm.
probably not concerned with the detail? You know what I'm saying? Because we're getting this from Darrow's perspective. So I
That is
wonder
very
if it's
true.
like, if it's purposefully done like that, because of
Yeah.
course, like a 16-year-old boy's probably, he's not worried about the
Hmm.
details. He's just going to be like, yeah, she's the most beautiful girl, oh, she's got that rusty red hair, oh, but is he really going to spend time telling us every detail of her face? But I
Hmm.
don't know, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not a writer, so I can't speak on it, and like I said, you probably have a better insight to that, but yeah, so.
Yeah. I agree with almost everything you said. And then also, I think, in just my opinion, I think he does it on purpose because it makes, like, I did realize, like, I mean, I got to chapter 12 in like 2 or 3 days. It
Mm-hmm.
does make the book like the way it reads is super fast paced. Like
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
felt like watching a TV show in a good way,
Yeah.
where it's like, all right, just hit me with the shit. Like I just want to,
Right.
like, just okay, this happens, this happens, this happens. Oh, she's dead. Holy fuck. Okay, and then this happens, this happens. Oh, now he's dead. Oh shit. Oh wait, no, he's not dead. Okay, cool. And now he's, getting buff or doing whatever the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
So I think it works for that. Like I think in this is, like that blockbuster kind of feel. And I can
Mm-hmm.
feel it like building to like, okay, this is just set up so you can kind of understand where this guy or this, kid's coming from. And then
Right.
he's gonna get into some real shit in the preceding chapters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the next thing that happens, so we discover this mine, we learn who Darrow is a little bit. We are introduced to his beautiful wife, Eo.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, and this is another little part now that I'm thinking about it, like I'm starting to get confused what exactly was happening or what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
Eo takes Darrow, I guess they're like celebrating. Oh yeah, there's this whole other thing. So like the miners, whoever gets like the most helium-3 gas or mineral nutrient, whatever, they get like awarded something, and then that means their colony or their group of hell divers or miners or whatever, they get like extra food and treats. And he
Yeah.
keeps talking about like cinnamon and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
I mean,
What
just
did
the
you?
basics.
Yeah, yeah, like it's like we're gonna get bread this week. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, okay. And then yeah, I guess that's like a tool that this society is using to like pit them against each other, like that
Right.
competitiveness to be.
Yeah.
And that's just like a such a I mean, it's such an evil tactic, but it's a like
Facts.
I've heard of so many societies and groups and like cults doing that. Like once you get someone
Mhm.
who's like a group of people who are being
Yeah.
suppressed and then you
Yeah.
pit them against each other, it's like it's such an evil successful thing that
Yep.
like keeps them under whatever class or structure. And just seeing it in this book, I was like, oh shit, that's like so fucked up. And then like they're all like they feel angry at the other group instead of feeling angry at the actual people doing this thing. And I thought that
Hmm.
was a interesting and like nicely thought out execution of a idea or concept that this like specifically the golds are just like fucked up rich assholes that hopefully are all gonna die here pretty soon.
I Yeah, you one can only hope. But yeah, I mean, I feel like something that if we talked about the writer not spending a lot of time on imagery, he spends a hell of a lot of
hmm
time on describing this society that they live in, the
Yep.
structure of it, the way that, how the elite show their power, how suppressed and how these low reds are literally living in slavery
Yep.
and don't even realize that they are, even though to be real, I mean, I feel like, I guess maybe as the reader, I'm thinking like, this shit is so fucking obvious that you are just being
Yeah.
used and abused. However, there's so many times where Darrow talks about this and just says like essentially like it is the way of life, or like we are meant to be obedient, we are brave. I kind of like highlighted, and I'm trying to go back when they're at the Laurel or whatever that's called, when they're actually trying to win this, after Darrow and his clan of Lycos has mined the most helium-3, and they think they're going to beat the Gamma
hmm
clan, right? And whoever that the guy is that comes down, and I can't remember his name, but the basically the one that's talking to them, like, and the one that's going to reveal who the winner is. And
hmm
he gives this just like whole long speech about how these are, brave reds, and
hmm
they're doing all this, they are suffering because we want other men to be able to come to Mars, and we want them to be able to live great lives. So you're doing all this, your blood, sweat, and tears are in this. People have died. You are living in
hmm
shit for the betterment of society. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they do such a good job of that. And even what you're saying, where it's like at the end of the day, Darrow and his clan, Lycos, they win, right? But they're not given the trophy at the end. They're not given the laurel. They're not given these extra rations of food and cinnamon and sugar and soap and bread and everything else that he talks about getting for his family. And then I did highlight this, but this is at the beginning of chapter 4, where Darrow he says, this is just a demonstration of their power. It is their
Mm.
power. They decide the winner. A game of merit won by birth. It keeps the hierarchy in place. It keeps us striving, but never conspiring. And then he goes on to say, yet despite the disappointment, some part of us doesn't blame the society. We blame Gamma, who receives the gifts. So this is just like,
Yeah.
it's a fucked up situation. It's a fucked up structure, but it's
Yeah.
so fucking effective.
Yep.
Like these
Yep.
people, and I know like Darrow and the younger generation, they're all excited, like, yeah, we're about to win this laurel. We're gonna get all this stuff. And you can see the older generation. He's talking about his uncle, and he's talking about all the older generation. Mind you, his uncle's like 35, I think he says, but this shit is old as hell for a low red.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like how basically pessimistic they are. Like, you're not gonna win because they already know. They know that this shit is set up for them to lose. There's no other way around it. This is how it is, and this is how it's always going to be. And essentially, they're just letting it continue to happen. And it's probably just because they don't feel like they can do anything about it. Stuff's never going to change. Just is just the way of life. And that's
Hmm.
fucked up. But that's why I say, like, that is so fucking effective, that the society, the golds, these higher colors are giving these low reds something to fight for,
Yep.
something to think they have hope in every month. Things will get better, things will get better, and they
Hmm.
never fucking do. And then when they find out that shit never gets better, they're not mad at the society. They're not like, you know what the fuck, these golds are living their life, they got these grav boots, they're all clean, they don't have to worry about food. They're mad at fucking Gamma, and Gamma's another just faction of low reds. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, like maybe they got more foodstuffs, but they're probably not, living it up like we are. They just
Yeah.
got sugar and cinnamon, like whoop
Hmm.
de doo. You know what I'm saying? All of you are slaves at the end of the day, and all of you are working and putting in all this effort for nothing.
Yeah.
And you're not reaping the benefits, and they don't even know they're not reaping the benefits. That's another thing. I mean, that's just Darrow has no idea. His family has no idea of the true extent
Hmm.
of it. And Eo kind of tells him in that scene where, they found this, like, I guess it's like a bubble of, of, like terraformed, Mars. And so it's like, oh, there's trees and I can see stars and I can. So she's found this and she's telling him, like, we're fucking slaves. And it's like he's so
Hmm.
indoctrinated, he can't even understand
Yep.
what it is that she's saying to him. Like, he's like, this is just the way of life. But I mean, if you really think about it, he's a kid. I mean, I know in his world, 16 is old. He's
Yeah.
at 16 or 14, I think he said, girls are getting married, and that's the norm for them.
Yeah.
So like he's a grown ass man in his head. He's working, he's making money, he's got a wife, he'll probably have, well, if his wife hadn't been killed, which
Ugh.
we haven't gotten there yet, but
Oh my
would have had
God.
kids soon, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? He would have been providing for a family, but the dude is 16 years old. So he has really
Yeah.
no true understanding of what the world is like. Even given the fact that he's also living underground, it has no idea that like the world
Yeah.
is going on top of him. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
kid, so he really
Yeah.
on top of that has no idea. So
Oh
um
my gosh. So off of that, I was gonna ask you because I was struggling to connect with Darrow. Like,
mhm.
I mean, his name, ass.
Yeah.
No
Mhm.
offense to anyone named Darrow in the
Yeah.
world, if there's any. But I was just like, oh my God, I'm not connecting with this guy. And then like, yeah, like him being the indoctrinated one that's like, no, we're doing everything right. It's like
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
gotta keep our way. It is what it is. I was like,
Yeah.
bro,
The whole way.
I'm about to beat your ass. Like, shut the
Literally.
fuck up. And then his wife, Eo, I was like, okay, she's the reason. She's like the logic, she's the
Mm-hmm.
heart,
Mm-hmm.
she's amazing. Like, and then, she's just described as beautiful. So I'm just imagining my type. And I'm like, all right, she's legit. Hopefully Darrow just dies. She becomes a protagonist. Because I'm a fan of just female led stories, just period.
Gotcha.
And then she dies. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh fuck. This
And
shit's fucked. This shit's fucked.
she dies early on. I mean, we barely know anything about this girl. We don't know anything except for what Darrow tells us. That's the thing.
Hmm.
And
And I don't trust him.
all he
He's too
tells us
weak.
about
I was
her
like,
is
man.
she's beautiful and she's, she's not indoctrinated, but he doesn't understand. So of course he's telling us from his point of view. We
Yeah.
really have no information on this girl, and she seems to be a badass bitch to be 15 or 16 years
Come
old.
on. Yeah, like where's her story, man? Like I would
Yeah.
have rewrote this whole shit. But oh yeah, I forgot. The thing I was gonna ask you was what do you think about Darrow in that regard? Do you have the same complaints that I have that you're like, this guy's not really a protagonist. Like I'm sure as the books continue, he's gonna grow out of this mindset, like he's kind of already has. But yeah, like what do you think about him? And then like, yeah, what do you think about AO and
Um,
their dynamic?
yeah, he's not my fave, honestly. And like I said, I'm trying my hardest to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, he's 16 and he thinks he's the shit. He thinks he's grown. He thinks, you know what I'm saying? And I guess technically in his society, he is, if one of the oldest people is damn 35. So
Mm-hmm.
he's old, I guess, for his society. But for me, I'm like, this is a fucking teenager. This is a
Yeah.
baby, and he's not someone that I would have chosen, but I'm hoping that there is growth. Like as he grows, I'm hoping there is so much growth
This is
with
a
him.
phase. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't read the rest of the books. I don't remember even past chapter 12 now. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know how long he lives. I don't know, how old he gets to be or what type of shit he sees from here on out. But I just hope that it really grows him as a
Yeah.
person because he has a lot of growing to do and just a
Yeah.
lot of learning. Cause yeah, I mean, he is like, I mean, to be fair, born and raised in this society, and not just born and raised, I mean, generations, his family's been in this shit for generations and generations and generations. And I almost wonder if, they talk about his dad dying. I'm like,
Yeah.
is that something that it almost feels like it forced him more towards this, like,
Mm-hmm.
this society is just the way it's supposed to be. And essentially, if you go against that, then this is what happens. And
You just
he
die.
doesn't really talk about his dad as like a hero.
Mm-hmm.
I almost get more like, well, he was stupid or he was a coward. Like he
Yeah.
shouldn't have done this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that really, I guess, speaks to how much he is just a part of this whole society in the way
Indoctrinated.
that
Yeah.
exactly, like he is just really really in it, so we've got like a
Yeah.
long way to go with him.
It's an interesting choice for sure though. Like I don't think I would have ever chosen my main character to be him.
Right.
AO would have been the immediate first choice, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting choice. And if the writer does pull it off and like flip him around, then I think it will be worth it because you're like, oh man, you remember when he was just a little minor,
Yeah.
talking
But
about how big his hands are and shit.
yeah, that's true, but Darrow also says the same thing we're saying. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He is self-aware. He's like, I don't
Hmm.
fucking know what the fuck's going on. I don't understand. I'm not
Yeah.
strong enough to do this. Why didn't they save her?
Hmm.
Why isn't
Hmm.
she in my position? She's the one that actually cared about this. She was the one that wanted to fight for this shit.
Hmm.
Why pick me? So I
Yep.
think like he thinks the same shit. Like I'm no protagonist, bitch. I'm
Hmm.
not the main character of this story.
Hmm.
Why did you choose me of all the people? And I
Yeah.
guess we still haven't, I mean, and to be real, so I mean, I know like once we get further along into the story and he's with the son of Ares, group or whatever, and he's, going through his little journey. I didn't even know he was smart until then. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
there was that specific scene where he's being tested by the guy's name is Dancer, I think.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
where he's like, here's two cards basically. And like, if you get the goat, then you're good. If you get I don't remember what the other thing was, then, you're not supposed to be here or whatever. Like, and so Darrow's like, oh, this is a test of my intelligence and figures this whole thing out, right? And then even, so that's the first indicator that we have, or that I had at least, that Darrow is fucking smart. Like there's
Yeah.
something else to him other than I'm just a 16-year-old boy that's being used for manual labor.
Yeah. He's
And
definitely like street smart. Like he has that
yeah,
like I'm not gonna let
yeah,
someone fuck with
yeah,
me, and like he knows how to like measure up to people. Like yeah, there was
yeah,
a part before that where they're like in front of a place that they're getting into
hmm,
and he like doesn't back down and instead he
yeah,
like tries to act more intimidating and that gets
yeah,
him some sort of like
yeah.
credibility or respect. So yeah.
Yeah, and even when he's talking to what is the guy's the one who actually does like the carving and stuff like Mickey,
Oh yeah.
right? So he's talking to Mickey, and Mickey's like, "What the fuck?" Basically, he's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this low red?" Like he's an
Hmm.
idiot. Yeah, he's a hell
Hmm.
diver, but I mean, he's a kid. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And Darrow, does his whole puzzle, and he's saying like, I don't understand the math of this, but I know how shit works at the same time. So yeah, he's not book smart, but he's smart. Like
Hmm.
Darrow is intelligent. It seems like he picks up very well on, like cues and like things from people. He can read people well. He picks up a lot of things from his environment. Like he seems like he is a fast learner and he is
Yeah.
adaptable. And so
Yeah.
I will give him that credit. And I'm not sure, based off of what we heard about his wife, it almost seems like maybe she was too hot-headed. And like maybe that's why Dara was chosen, because he's a little more calm. He's confused as well, but he can adapt. Like he's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is the situation I'm in, and this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna get out of this. Let
Yeah.
me think my way through this. And I almost feel like maybe that
Mm,
makes him better for what we're starting to find out is the task, or the
yeah.
ask of him from the son of Ares to like become a gold basically. and i
Yeah.
and i don't know if his wife would have been someone that could have done that. Like maybe she was
Yeah.
too fucking passionate.
Yeah.
you know
She was like, there's 0 and 100, and she was just like, all right, I'm about to get whipped. Fucking, I'm gonna sing this song and just
Fact, she's
fucking.
like, bitch, you're gonna kill me then. Fuck you. You know what? Yeah, I'll take these fucking whips, but guess what? You're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Just because I don't agree with what the fuck you said, kill me then. So like, yeah, so she's
Yeah.
like that, whereas he's like, I'm gonna take these whips and I'm gonna keep it moving. Which I mean, at times can seem like cowardly, or can just seem like,
Mm,
yeah, he's really in this shit. But like I
yeah.
said, I feel like also it might help him
It's like the
more.
assessment. Yeah, because he's gonna be
Yeah.
like a what is it called when you like double agent kind of thing? Like he's gonna
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
chill
yeah.
the fuck out because some
Yeah.
gold's gonna, take a shit on him. He can't
Right.
just immediately kill everyone. Where I think Ao would have just been like, "Oh fuck you," and
Yeah.
just started shooting up the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
and he
god.
seems like he's a little more like calm and cool and
Mm,
collected. And so
yeah.
maybe that will help him in the future. And maybe, like I said, maybe that's one of the reasons they picked him. I don't know. I don't know if it tells us why, but that's the only hope I have, is that okay, well, maybe that's what's gonna get us through this.
And then, so you're
Yeah.
saying like when she led him, and this was like after the ceremony for the laurel or whatever, she like leads him through. And this is the other thing I don't understand. Like the women do like silk jobs
Yeah, I
with like
guess.
giant spiders, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And they didn't really talk about that. They just said it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's just like, hey, there's these giant spiders in here, like spinning
it's like,
silk. And you're like, what the fuck? But
excuse me,
okay. Yeah, I
excuse me.
just moved
Okay.
past it. No biggie.
Yeah, and then they enter this like little. I didn't even know what I imagined like it was a hole in a wall, and then they step through, and
Yeah.
then suddenly there's a moon and there's stars and there's. I thought it was like maybe like a projection,
Yeah.
but then later on he buries her under this tree or whatever,
Mhm.
and I was like, wait, what the fuck? So was that like a hole to Mars? But then like when he goes out to Mars, it's a whole ass city with like
Yeah.
dust and all whatever kind of Mars land typical landscape shit. But this looked like, or what he was describing sounded like Earth, like it was
Yeah.
greenery. So what did you take that as, or were you
Um,
just equally as confused?
yeah, so while I was reading it, I'm like, okay, like I get okay, so yeah, I mean, I definitely pictured it as like a hole in a wall type thing. They went through a tunnel and bam, they're in now this clearing basically. Where
Hmm.
so when I initially read it, I'm thinking, okay, somehow they've made it to the surface, right? And
Yeah.
like, okay, so they must not be that far underneath the surface, and somehow they made this path, and bam, they're in this little thing. But as I continued to read on, and then once we found out, like, no, there's a whole fucking city up here. Yeah, that didn't make sense either, considering the fact that he had to get on a whole lift and go up and up and up to get up there. Like, you gotta, based on that, when he's with Dancer, I'm like, so they're super far into,
Yeah.
the core of Mars. So I'm thinking, because he kind of said, like, when he and Eo got caught, he kind of said, like, "Oh, this area was supposed to be for the obsidians and the
Oh.
pots or whatever." So I
Hmm.
I almost think maybe it is like what you said, or at least this is what I'm going to choose to believe, that it is like what you said, where it's more like a projection, where it's just this small area. And I wonder if, the tin pots and the obsidians that work down there with the low reds, maybe they don't know about the surface either. Because I can't
Oh.
imagine that, they'd be down there working with these low reds and
Oh
living
yeah,
down
hell
here
no.
and not have, and knowing that there's a whole life up here. Not that they care about the low reds, but for themselves, to
Hmm.
be down here and working with them all day, every day, blah, blah, blah. They might be,
Mm.
ignorant to the fact that everyone else has moved to Mars as well. And so maybe they have their own specific place where the golds and, these higher colors have created something that's still where it's like, okay, there's a hierarchy down here, but you're still down here, right? So yeah, I mean, we made this little space for these obsidians or these or 10 pots or silvers, whatever the fuck, to be down here and have their own little space. And we put some fucking trees down here and we made it look
Yeah.
like there's a night sky and a sun, but maybe it's not really that. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't honestly, he didn't describe it enough. He didn't give us enough information. So I'm
Yeah.
only left to imagine that maybe that wasn't the surface. Maybe that was what you said. And maybe it's there to just further this idea that there's no life on Mars, that we're all here working towards this
Yeah.
common goal.
Yeah. And I did really love how that scene played out. Like even though again,
Mhm.
like I feel like he lacked a lot of description because like they even like make love and it's like literally
Right.
one sentence, like they make
That's
love.
it.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what? Okay. And then yeah, but I loved like how I guess I was just imagining like AO being like super fucking badass and like
Mhm.
talking, shit about the society. It's like, fuck this shit, fuck all this shit. And yeah, just the like beautiful woman, beautiful environment, scenery, and then just talking just mad shit about their system of oppression. I was like, oh,
Right.
this is it. But
Yeah.
then yeah, she dies immediately afterwards, and I was like, oh fuck. But
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that whole like scene, like the whipping, and then like there's like the whole televised element of it, and then
Hmm.
the song element of it.
Yeah, the scene was hard. I mean, again, I thought it was fucked up.
Yeah,
I thought it was fucked up, especially if I'm taking into account the fact that these are kids. Like, I just keep thinking, like, I
yeah,
know. I
16.
know Darrow is not saying I'm a kid. He thinks I'm a grown ass fucking man. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, these are kids. You are whipping these kids for being kids
Hmm.
in front of everybody they love, in front of everybody that they work with, that they, I don't know if they ever went to school, but maybe that they went to school with, like these are their
Yeah.
peers, these are their families. And you're humiliating them over being teenagers, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
teenagers are going to be curious. They're going to go look for shit. They're going to do shit they're not supposed to do. They're going to get into shit. And that's
Yeah.
just normal. I guess, like in our society, we're thinking like that's just a normal thing a 16-year-old would do, was probably crawl through a tunnel and figure out where that went and go fuck under a tree. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, but it's not something that should have been like,
Yeah.
it didn't necessitate the flogging essentially at the end of this,
Yeah.
where we're gonna beat these kids senseless. I mean, and then they're talking about taking 48 whips. I
Yeah.
mean, fuck
Yeah.
in hell. If anything, that's just, we know that's just another way that the gold, or I mean, even in this, I mean, in this instance, this is the first time we actually see someone from the gold or hear
Hmm.
about them. And so
Yeah.
this is the only time they show their fucking faces,
Hmm.
is to show their power here and to whip some fucking babies. You know,
Yeah.
like I think that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So that scene was hard. And I don't know, like, because I just imagine myself being not the one getting whipped, because not me, but I imagine myself being like Darrow's sister, right? Like I'm looking
Yeah.
like, damn, this is how you treat my people. This is how, and that's just how they, that's how they just keep them suppressed. But
Yeah.
like going back
Gosh.
to, I'm trying to think where I was going with that.
But no, yeah, that
There
was
was like
all.
another point I had, but now I can't remember. So while I'm trying to remember what the fuck I was gonna say, like I mean, what did that do for you? Like, how are you
Yeah.
feeling?
Yeah, I hated it. Um, just because, yeah, it's like super fucking fucked up and disgusting and gross. But then also, like, this was one of the few times where I think he described pretty well was like not when Darrow was being whipped, but when Ao was being whipped. Just
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
immediately connected with her, just had an awesome scene with her, and now I'm like, okay, she's gonna get whipped and she's gonna walk out. And then, like,
Yeah.
as she's getting whipped, Darrow keeps talking about like how she has like no scars or no marks and just like
Mm-hmm.
fair skin, and like the way he describes her is like, she is 16 but she looks like a baby, like she's
Right.
just like an undamaged person. And
Mm-hmm.
when he's getting whipped, he's like, it doesn't matter because I'm already like
Right.
burned and scarred from all my hell diving shit. So it
Yeah.
made it feel like even more innocent that she was, just being like humiliated and damaged in front of
Yeah.
everybody. And then when she, sang her song, I was like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
are you doing this
Yeah.
right now? Like,
Yeah.
don't, like, not you, make it someone else. Like, Darrow, you do this shit. Like, come on. And yeah, that was really fucked up. And then I was like, okay, so now she's gonna die. And then she dies. And then the
Yeah.
fucking hanging scene, I was like, what
Yeah,
the fuck
that's
is this
that's
shit?
extra fucked up. That's extra fucked up.
And I was kind of confused on that scene. And there's
Mhm.
like a layer of confusion that I really like that he describes. Like, I don't know. I was gonna ask you to clarify, maybe you remember better, but okay, so they get hanged, and then Darrow's saying like because of gravity their neck doesn't snap or something, so they just choke. And then
Yeah.
he talks about how he, runs up to her and like pulls her legs
Hmm.
really hard downward.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, fuck no. And then, like, later on in the story, he's talking about, like, did I kill her? Like, maybe she didn't have to die because when he was
Yeah.
hung, his cousin didn't pull him very hard. I was gonna ask you about that because if he ends up if he's the reason that she died, I'm burning this book. Like,
So I mean as far as like the general understanding of things, like yeah, I think the way he's described is gravity just works different. So yeah, I mean they're gonna fall, but there's not enough weight to break their neck and to kill them. They're just gonna choke in agony, right? Until they can't breathe and now they're dead. Um, but my understanding of like his kind of like thought process with that is that, he's concerned that she could have lived. But the only reason that Darrow lived was because his
mhm.
uncle drugged him, was
Oh, okay,
because
okay,
there
okay,
was
okay.
a plan for,
Mm,
and they didn't really give us a lot of detail on exactly what the drug did, how it saved him, whether it just was something that knocked him out enough to where when the uncle pretended to pull on his feet, because maybe he pretended to pull on his feet or
mhm.
pulled lightly to make it seem like, and Darrow stopped moving because this medicine has gone through his system now. But I think
Mm,
Darrow's still in that moment, still like wrestling with this idea that it should have been her alive. It shouldn't have been me. Could I have saved her if I didn't break?
yeah.
And really, no, you couldn't have, because at the end of the day, either you pulled her and broke her neck and ended her suffering, or she just choked until she suffocated and died. But I don't
Yeah.
think that was something that he really truly could have saved her from. She needed that, whatever he got from his, because once he drank that whatever it was, he thought it was ale, not ale, but whatever alcohol that
Hmm.
they have, as soon as,
Crown.
yeah, exactly, his crown or his wine, whatever it was, like he noticed immediately that something was wrong. Like noted that as soon as he took it, like, this was thicker than normal,
Yeah. It's
but
like, yo,
okay,
I'm
whatever.
cooked
Like,
up.
I'm not thinking about, you know what I'm saying? Like, he said that and he kept saying, I feel weird. I feel weird after he had that drink. So I don't think it was something he could have saved her from. And
Yeah.
then I do remember what point I was trying to make, but you asked about the dance and the songs.
Yeah.
And I'm no historian by any means. Actually, history is probably my least favorite subject of all fucking time. But I think that the reason it's dance and it's music, it's song, is because that's a place where people remember,
Yeah.
like that's their history in
Yeah.
those dances. That song that she sang, and I don't remember what page that was on to be able to even read the words or kind of go back and look. I'd have to go back and read it, but that is a song of remembrance. That is
Yeah.
like, we are here because we are fucking slaves. Like, these people have us here doing this shit, and what for? Like, we are suffering as a people. And I think that's why there's such a big deal. Now, I don't know what the hell the dance looks like, and I can read the words of the song. I don't know what the song sounds like. I don't think it necessarily matters that we know what the dance or the song sounds or looks like. I think
Yeah.
it's just that this is how we remember the past. And I think that's true to all cultures, like
Yeah.
dance and music and songs and all that stuff. Like, that is just, that's forever.
Yeah.
People pass down music and dances and things like that through their own cultures. And I think that's why this shit is so important. Why these dances and these songs, or these two specific things, this one dance, this one song, is
Yeah.
not allowed,
Yeah.
because it talks about what the fuck happened. Mind you, these people don't even know that they've been on Mars mining this stuff for 700 years. And then I think that Dancer tells him 500 years ago, everyone else moved here. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So there was only a 200-year period of time where we really needed you to mine and get it ready
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of us. But for the last fucking 500 years, it's been bitches up there living
Mm-hmm.
on the surface of Mars, living their best fucking life, building cities, building communities.
Yeah.
And you guys are living underneath the surface and have no fucking idea, thinking you're being obedient,
Yeah.
thinking you're being brave. Like, that's how they make them feel. Oh, I'm so brave. I'm so obedient. I'm
Yeah.
selfless because I'm doing this for the good of humanity. And they're
Yeah.
just living and dying down there for no fucking reason.
Beautifully said. The other element about this before he gets, reincarnated or rescued after his hanging was I forgot. He got hanged because or he got hanged because he ended up pulling her body down because I guess even when they're done being hung and dead, they still like hang them in like the
Mm-hmm.
cafeteria or whatever hallway
Mm-hmm.
of like wherever they meet. So that is another element of like fucked up. Like you just
Yeah.
see the corpses of your fellow people just fucking hanging. And then I guess it's like not allowed to like bury them. So I
Yeah.
guess they just stay there as skeletons.
It's fucked up.
Again, yeah, just fuck. Just like now, like it was weird. Like in the book, I wasn't really imagining it as much as I am now. Like now
Mm-hmm.
talking about it with you, I'm like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
fucking
It's
dark as
horrible.
shit. Yeah.
Horrible.
So yeah, he pulls her body down, buries the body, and then he gets caught, obviously. And then he gets hanged, but he takes that drug, or that uh Crown Royal that saves his soul. And then he's reborn with the group called what are they called? The Sons of
Sons
Ares.
of Aries. Yep.
Yeah. And then they are essentially the what would it be called? Like they're the rebel group that's trying
Yeah.
to,
Mm-hmm.
free all the Reds from the oppression of the Golds and all of them. And they have adopted the video and the song of Ao execution. Oh, yeah, and that's another element. They like play that unedited, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Like as it was happening, the gold person was like, "Oh, just let her finish singing," because he thought they were just gonna edit it out or whatever. But they end up playing the whole raw video to I guess everyone everywhere
Yeah.
is what they kind of say. And then so that's kind of their like inspiration for this whole event. I guess to just start subconsciously laying the seeds of like, hey, something's coming, and like people start rallying up. And then yeah, they get Darrow. Yeah, they go up to the city and discover, or he discovers that yeah, they've been here for like 500 years. Everything's bullshit. And then yeah, they enter into the city and then they find this guy named Mickey who
Mhm.
does, I guess, like plastic surgery, or I guess it's like super high tech plastic
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
And then he gets involved with that, and then they start the process of, I guess, turning him into a gold. I am just now realizing how much shit has gone down in 12 chapters. Like this is like
Yeah.
two whole fucking movies
Yeah,
for
this
this
is
shit.
it's a lot. It's a lot to cover. And I was just flipping through the book and I'm like, yeah, I forgot this is like, they've got part one where it says slave, and then it starts part two and it's like reborn, I think.
Hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about, even with just the first part one is the first six chapters. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm,
that's up to the point where he's dying himself, so or thinks
yeah.
he's dying. So I'm like, there's a lot that happens even within the first fucking six chapters. There's a lot to talk about,
Which
and
is
then
I'm intimidated because I have the Dark Age paperback.
yeah,
That shit's fat.
yeah, it
That
is, it
shit's
is. It is, because
thick.
I got these in actual, like in a physical book as well, because it was just
Yeah.
cheaper on Amazon. And yeah, I'm like, damn, that last book, I think them last two books are pretty thick.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, that's gonna be a lot to get through.
Like, what the fuck is Darrow gonna do? Like, he's
Right. What
gonna
the fuck's
fucking
gonna be
blow
going
up
on?
every fucking planet.
Yeah, I know. That's just crazy. I don't know where this is gonna go.
But yeah, so to get back into it, so I kind of recapped all the narrative stuff.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think about all that? Like the moment of him discovering, that they've been here for 500 years, the city, this whole organization to rebel, the Carver guy.
Yeah, fucked up. And I know I keep saying that, but it's just like every step of the way, you're just like, damn. It just seems like they add more and more layers where you're like, damn, this shit is
Hmm.
fucked up. Like at every turn, I'm like, oh my God, it's getting worse and worse and worse. The more information we're getting, the worse I feel about this
Hmm.
situation. Like there's just no end to this. And so this is when we're starting, I guess, part two, reborn, after he's coming back and he's learning about society and he's going up to the surface. Like, this is the first time we're learning about other colors, and by we, I mean us, the readers, and Darrow. Like, he has
Yeah.
no idea there's greens and pinks and purples and blues. Like, there's other colors that he's never even seen, and high reds. I feel like
Hmm.
that's probably the craziest part, is to learn that there are other reds in this society who
Hmm.
live on top of the surface. Like, they
Yep.
live above the surface. They live, I mean, to me, the way that they described the high reds, I know they're like janitors and kind of
Yeah.
the lowly things, but they live, it seems like, from what Dancer said, pretty normal lives. Like, yeah, they're at the bottom, or I guess low reds are at the bottom of the totem pole. But
Yeah.
if we're going to talk about on, the surface of the
Yeah.
planet, they're at the bottom of the totem pole, but they have relative freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they have all the all this fancy stuff, all the technology. I mean, they might not have access to all the type of money that, say, like a gold would have, but
Hmm.
they're not slaves,
Yeah.
in the like most fundamental and basic sense of the word, a slave,
Yeah.
because the low reds are just fucking slaves, literally,
Yeah. Like straight up.
and don't even know they are. That's
Yeah.
the bad part. They have no idea. And then you got these high reds that are up there like, well, at least I'm not a low red. You
Yeah.
know
There.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, shit, at least I'm a bright red color, and I'm not that old rusty copper shit that these other
Yeah.
ones are down there in the middle of the damn planet, mining away every day in their own piss and shit. And these, so
Jesus.
um
God.
and that's just, I mean, and
Yeah.
that's just like the best way to say it, I guess. Like, that's just the realest way, like, literally.
Yeah.
Like, so it's interesting, but again, I think it's not that far-fetched. Like,
Yeah.
truly, I think this is a society that could be a thing. Like it really could and potentially would be a thing. Like people in power always want to stay in power. That's the thing. Once people
Absolutely.
are in power, they don't want to share that. They don't want to share the wealth. They
Hmm.
don't care about us low and high reds or pinks or purples or blue. They don't give a fuck. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I mean, it's real. Like I think it's real. It's definitely more extreme, but it's real.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like it's fucked up. I mean, it's all fucked up that they don't that Darrow and his family and his clan and the millions of clans. Because at this point now they've told us it's not just the Lycos and the Gammas and the it's it's millions, billions of low reds,
Hmm.
down there working, doing this mining.
Yeah.
And Darrow had no idea, thinking it's just a few of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the other end of this hierarchy, and not the gold, because we know the rich and the wealthy and the famous they don't care. But it speaks to the other colors, because
Yeah.
these colors know they have the
Yeah.
knowledge. They understand that there are other people, because to them it's just other people. For me it's like some weird like alien thing. I mean, they're supposed to be humans with like colored eyes and colored hair, right? But like
Yeah.
some of them have, like, I know he was saying like Mikey, who is a purple or a lab, whatever color, he had like 8 fingers or some shit like that. So they're
Yeah.
not fully human. I mean they're human, but I guess like modified humans. But
Yeah.
they're all aware of the fact that there are other people like them who are only different in the color of their eyes and the color of their hair and the place that they were born. And they are slaves to this society, to this hierarchy, to this regime. And we're
Hmm.
just going to let them be that, because I'd rather not be that. So it really speaks to the selfishness of humanity, I think, as well. Because like, damn, y'all ain't rebelling, thinking like
Hmm.
shit could be better for everybody. That's the thing.
Hmm.
People are selfish because they're only worried about themselves. Okay, me as a purples being the creatives, the the artists, the whatever that Mickey is. He's not at the bottom of the totem pole. He's no high red, he's no low red, and he's just gonna keep doing his own fucking thing, because
Yeah.
it's like, well, at least I'm a purple. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, this could be worse for me. So I'm just gonna let society be the way that it is. And really, it all it would take was for the lower colors, besides the golds and the bronze and the silvers, everyone the fuck else on that color spectrum, to be like, bitch, this is fucked
Yep.
up, for real change to happen, and they just don't do it. And
Because
there's
it's
there's nothing. They're just like, oh, I'm not a low red. I'm not
yeah.
like it's fucked up. But I think like that's so just true of who humans, who and what humans are.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I mean, hopefully in the book they start to activate all the other colors,
I
or
fucking
who knows
hope
what's
so.
gonna happen. But yeah, like that is so true of our society now. Like, I mean, there's
Mhm.
so much data and like
Yeah.
statistics showing like low income families born into poverty, like the percentage of you getting out of poverty
Mhm.
is so fucking stupid. And
Yeah.
it's so like the chances are so like it's depressing looking at those numbers.
Yeah.
And I think this like really captures that element. And it's also like it also kind of hinted at the like consumerism, like how that keeps
Mhm.
people kind of like blindly following because they're buying whatever new thing, they're doing whatever enhancements to their
Yeah.
bodies or
Yeah.
entertainment purposes. There's like all these places to splurge money on, but it's like these people control money, so they give you money, so you spend money on things they own, so you're giving back that money, but then it also keeps you
Yep.
in this like suppression loop.
Capitalism.
Yes.
It's capitalism
Yeah.
at its finest, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
even the fact that Darrow has no idea what the fuck money is. He has
Yeah.
no like comprehension, or no general understanding of the idea of money, because he even says, like, we deal in goods.
Yeah.
Shit, like, ain't no money, ain't no, I'm buying I think at one point they said, like, the greens are over technology, I guess. And he's like, you can go buy basically like a virtual thing where you live for like a month in virtual reality, like
Oh
rich or whatever.
yeah.
Like, he says that. And it's like, this is shit that other people can buy. Meanwhile, they're down there trying to, people are literally, women are selling their bodies,
Mm.
prostituting to get medicine for
Oh
their
God,
sick
I forgot
husbands, for their
about that
sick
whole
kids, for the,
fucking part.
you know, like, so like it just shows you like what the fuck is going on, where we are
Yeah.
just totally fine. And of course, the colors on top, on the surface, I'm sure that even though they know there are low reds, they don't know. I'm sure I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they don't know, the extent of
Yeah.
this level of slavery or and shit that's going on down here. But it's fucking insane to believe. And then they have pinks, which are basically, from my understanding, prostitutes, and like they're there
Yeah.
for pleasure, where people can spend money on other people, pinks up here,
Mm-hmm.
for pleasure and just, whatever. And then these low reds are down here, like I said, a wife and a mother selling her body to another person so that she can get antibiotics for her husband or for her kid or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck. That shit is fucked up.
Yeah. So they definitely don't have universal health care. Okay. Okay.
It's no Canada. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this, I
This
don't know.
is
This feels like
this is still
America.
America.
This
Yeah,
is like
this is still
America on steroids, right?
yeah.
Like, this is America if we just let the rich just decide. I mean, not that we don't already, but if we
Yeah.
really just did away with all the laws and the rules and we just said, you know what, let's let the rich like
Yeah.
run the society, I feel like that's exactly what the fuck it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly and it
Yep.
would come down to colors. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It would come
Yeah.
down. Except instead of these people being colored, their skin being red. I know their skin's not red, but their hair's red. Their eyes are red. They've got these,
Yeah.
they've got these what do they call them? The things that they have in their hands, the sigils
Oh, yeah,
in their
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
So mind you, they've got markers. They've got all this. That is exactly what I feel like would happen here too. It's
Yeah.
not even that far fetched. Give us fucking 700 years. You know what I'm saying? Let us
Mm.
start over on Mars, and that's exactly what the fuck you're gonna see.
God, yeah, there's so many parts of that I totally forgot that were in the
Yeah.
book. Again, beautifully said. The one thing that I for some reason just remembered, because this kind of pissed me off in the book reading it. There's this female character.
Mhm.
Oh, what is her name?
Oh, the one that works with Dancer. Let me see.
Yeah.
I
She's
almost feel like it starts with an Harmony. Is it Harmony?
yeah, Harmony.
Yeah.
Okay. So they introduce Harmony, and I'm like, ooh, you better not make this like love interest number 2. You
Mm-hmm.
just killed my girl, I swear to God. And then
Mm-hmm.
again, she's badass. She's cool. I mean, her name's Harmony.
Right.
Like, I mean, and then he's like talking about how she's like super aggressive and like combative against them. And they have like, and I just know as a writer, this author's building her up. Like, she's definitely, they're
Mhm.
going to be a thing.
Oh,
And
for
I'm like,
sure.
I'm not ready for it. Like, come on, dude. You just lost your wife.
Facts,
I'm
facts.
sure they're not going to do it ASAP, but I can already see the breadcrumbs, and I'm like,
Yeah, same.
nah, nah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about
Yeah, because he talks about how pretty she is on the side of her face. It's not burned. And even
it.
just for
Yeah,
like, of course, at first they hate each other. And bam, you already know if you're watching
yeah.
a
But
rom
come
com, if you're reading a
on.
damn romance novel, if a man and a woman hate each other at the beginning, guess what? They're soulmates.
Yeah,
They're gonna,
they're
they're
gonna
gonna
fuck.
end up exactly. They're gonna fuck, and then they're gonna find out they love each other, and blah 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 blah. And it's shit
Oh
that I don't
god.
need. And I find that like kind of like what I said last episode when we were just kind of going over like what we like and we don't like. I fucking hate romance at this time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate when there's unnecessary, like to me, that's unnecessary. I don't give a damn if
Mm-hmm.
Darrow has a love interest. As far as I'm concerned, his wife has died. And so his
Yeah.
romance dies with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't need him to fall in love
Mm-hmm.
with another woman. That is not pertinent to me. And
Yep.
I don't feel like it's gonna do anything. I mean, I don't know how the fuck. I know it's gonna happen. I don't know how they're gonna spin it. I don't know what it's gonna add to the book. But I guarantee you at the end of it, even if I'm like, okay, they're a cute couple, I'm gonna be like, but it wasn't necessary though. Like I
Yeah.
didn't
It
need
was
it.
not. Yep.
Yeah. And so this is just one of those times I'm like, bitch, I don't care that she's beautiful on one half of her face. I don't give a fuck. I don't care that she's a bad bitch. You already had a wife.
Yeah.
And she made
It-
you she made your wedding rings with your guys' hair and the
yeah.
silk from those weird spider things. And that's all I care
Oh shit, I forgot about that too. That was fucking
about.
badass. I was like, yeah,
Yeah. And I'm like,
that's
that's
kind
all
of
I care about. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear about you and Harmony. I don't give a fuck.
yeah.
That's just me. That's just me. Like, okay, see, now we're adding in unnecessary
Yeah.
elements of romance. You don't have to have that for it to be a good book, in my opinion.
I think that's totally a dude thing. Like it's totally a dude thing. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna kill this girl, and then but there has to be another girl,
Mm.
and then the trend here. This is a prediction. I don't know anything that happens after chapter 12. They're gonna be a thing. Harmony's gonna sacrifice herself and die. And if she does that, I'm gonna flip out. I'm gonna flip out like, okay, so you just killing all
That's
these
like mark your
badass women
words.
who should
Mark your
be
words.
the
Yeah.
protagonist. Because like already, I'm like, all right, Harmony's badass. Like, why isn't she like just
Yeah.
immediately Darrow meets a cool, capable, hot woman, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, why is she not the leader of this whole thing?
Mhm.
And
But
if he keeps killing them off, I'm gonna be pissed. Like Darrow is gonna be the reason why there's no more cool, confident, independent, hot women in this
yeah,
world.
but if you think about it, she sounds very similar to Ao. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
she's too hot-headed too. That's the thing. He's falling for the same type of woman. He doesn't realize he's
He
falling
has a
for
type,
her.
yeah.
We can see that, but that's just the same reason you're saying, well, why can't she be the protagonist? Same reason why his wife couldn't. Same reson why they killed her
Yeah.
off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so
Too hot-headed,
she's
too
gonna go ham on
passionate,
some shit,
too
yeah.
yeah, like too aggressive. Like it's just that's what it is, and it's unfortunate because I would love to have a fucking female protagonist. Like I'm all for a bad
Mm,
bitch. It
yeah,
doesn't always have to be a man saving the fucking day. You know what I'm saying? But it's
exactly.
fine. We'll deal with Darrow. We'll deal with it. Like, I guess it is what it is, right?
Yeah. He's like a
He's the
5 out of
gold now.
10.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's okay, I guess. Like I don't hate him, but do I love him? No.
Yeah.
And maybe
He's
I
no
will by
AO.
the time. No, he's no AO. He's no AO, and I don't even know what that bitch looks like. But I fuck with her because she's a bad bitch and she stands for what she believes in.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck you, you're gonna whip me. I'm gonna sing that fucking song on this
Yeah.
live television in
Mm-hmm.
front of these fucking golds. I don't give a damn. And that's
Yeah.
why I fuck with her. But she's gone. So there's really no one to fuck with anymore. So
Oh
Harmony
my
seems
gosh.
cool, but yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the setup coming as well. And it's not something I'm excited for. So, but like I said, I really
Yeah.
don't care for romance in books anymore. I feel like I could read books and just be like, there was no romance. That's great. Like,
Wow, that's
I didn't feel like I needed it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally good. And I guess
That's
I'm just like, out of that now.
That's interesting. I think I'm on the opposite side, but I think that's just because I'm a single person. So I'm like, I like romance.
Like in the situation, if Ao would have continued to be alive and they both somehow got into the Son of Aries,
Oh my
group,
God, that'd been so
I would have
cool.
totally been down for that. I would have been like, yes, I'm rooting for this couple. I'm rooting for this
Mm-hmm.
marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But now that she's gone, I'm like, I don't need him to fall in love with another person. I actually
Yeah.
don't care. I'd prefer he doesn't because now for me, I'm going to feel like, damn. So you just got over your wife like that? You
Yeah,
know
in
what I'm
like
saying? Like,
24 hours, bro.
fuck your
Like you're
dead
already
wife,
staring
I
at this.
guess. Like, so I guess
You're
that's just
like,
like if it makes sense, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I love romance. I love love,
oh
but
God.
not when it doesn't make sense. Like not when
Yeah.
it's just there just to be there. Like, oh, I gotta add an element of romance. No, you
Yeah.
don't. No, you
Yeah.
don't.
So
Not
like
pertinent to the story.
think about this logically. Your wife just died. For
Mhm.
you wake up, you're alive again. First woman you see, half her face is burned, and then you're like, but damn, her other half is hot as fuck. Like that's kind of fucked up. Now that I'm thinking that through, this dude just woke up,
Yeah.
wife
But
dead.
again, but again,
Yo, half
Darrow
her
is
face is
16,
like
so I will
she's like 10 out of 10 on this side. Like that's fucked.
Yeah, he's like, she's beautiful, even more beautiful than my dead wife who just died yesterday. And it's like, damn, Dara, what the fuck? Like, then aren't we still mourning? Aren't we still mourning? And you're talking about how beautiful she is. But yeah, but again, I try to give him the
Oh
benefit of the
god.
doubt. He's 16, right? I keep trying to remember that because he doesn't, he's not thinking I'm a teenager. He's thinking I'm a grown ass fucking man. Bitch, you're 16 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, it's been 24 hours since I got laid. What am I supposed to do? I'm a hell diver. I dive into some shit. Okay,
Right.
that's
Come
that's.
on. That shit, that is so funny because now that you put it that way, it's like, yeah, it literally is like that. Like he just buried his wife 24 hours ago, and now he's talking about how beautiful this
Mhm.
the half of a face of this woman that he just met. Like that other shit is fucked up. That shit is burned to high heavens, but
There's other
that
half.
burns. He's like, but I'd go for it. Like,
Yeah.
like, but yeah, so that's pretty funny. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know how we got on that, but
I don't know. The drinks are
like
working. The
I was
drinks are
gonna
working.
say
At least.
that wine has kicked in, buddy. That wine. I am definitely tipsy now that we are into the I guess we've gotten past the read. We're on to the drink and talk, and I
Hmm.
am drinking. So
Yeah. Yep.
I feel that.
Oh my god.
I think it's interesting that Darrow, through his process of transformation or through this, what they call the carving,
Oh yeah, we have to
that
talk about that.
he's so concerned with. He doesn't like the fact that he's like, my wife would not recognize me. He's so afraid of becoming something different.
Hmm.
And I wonder how his wife would have, to me, based on the small amount of information that we would have gotten, she would not have fucked with this plan in the slightest.
Mm-mm.
Now, she would have been with the son of Aries until she found out they want him to turn into a gold. I feel like
Yeah.
at that point, she'd been like, fuck this plan.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely fuck
she'd be
that
like,
shit.
why don't we just like kill some motherfuckers?
Literally, she's like, let's blow this shit up. I don't give a fuck. Like, I feel like she would not have fucked with this plan in the
Hmm.
slightest. And so I think that's
Don't
such
even put like a
a
gold sticker on my
don't even,
skin.
I mean, no, what the fuck are you talking about? Like she
Uh,
would not have no, like I feel like she would have been so against this because she seems just like if we're going to talk about, I don't know, like something to liken it to like how we think about the police, like
yeah.
reforming, police here in the United States, right? Where some people are like, we just need like to reform. We need
Hmm.
to like throw away the system, start over. And some people are like, fuck that, abolish the police. I don't give a
Hmm.
damn. Like, we don't need police at all. Like, I feel like she's on that other end, right? Where
Yeah.
she's like on the extreme. She's not really a moderate. She's not just,
Hmm.
she wants change, but she wants change like in the most extreme and
Yep.
like like she's out on a like this is vengeance for her. She's like, no, we are
Yeah.
getting revenge. My people deserved better. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't even, she felt that way and had no fucking clue that her people were down there mining that shit for
Oh, imagine if she would
700
have found out.
years.
Oh
And
my
he even
god.
says that. I think Darrow even says that. Like, if she had known, like, she said all this, but if she had really known the truth, I mean,
Oof.
this, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, she didn't even know that. And she felt that strongly about what was going on. So I don't think she would be someone that is like, I'm totally on board with this plan. Now, I think it's an interesting plan. I'm not against it. I think it's super risky. You know what I'm saying? And especially
Okay.
because
Yeah.
we're finding out about this plan for him to, now I've skipped ahead, obviously, but we're finding out about this plan for him to be a gold.
Hmm.
And it's like, damn, I barely know anything about Darrow at this point. Like, can this man be a gold? But I also barely know anything about gold. And I
Yeah.
think we don't know because Darrow doesn't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows what they play for them on that, what he calls the HC, the screen that
Yeah.
just plays this indoctrination video all day, every day. Oh, my brave, brave people. I mean, he didn't even know there were low reds and high red. Like, there's so much that they just don't fucking know. And all
Yeah.
he knows is the golds run the society. But I mean, how the fuck is he supposed to be a gold? You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how do you play the role of something that you don't know and you don't understand and you've never seen in person? Like I said, I know I skipped ahead on that one, but I was just thinking about it, like, how the fuck is he supposed to play this role? He has no background knowledge.
Yeah, so to get into that, the carving that Mickey does to him.
Mhm.
So this is another element I'm kind of confused by. So like he talks about like reinforcing his bones with like steel or some shit, and like his muscles are like I'm imagining he's becoming some like Hulk level shit or something.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then he's like growing because I guess golds are like bigger and they're like
Yeah.
giants or they're just
Yeah.
so powerful they can like fucking punch through anything, everything. So this dude's like becoming just like fucking jacked or something
Yeah.
while he's being like carved up by Mikey. But then there's also like you were saying just now, like the mental aspect of it, because they're extremely intelligent. And then there's like a part I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it because I thought it was funny, like what books he decided to mention. But he was like, I've been reading like audiobooks or something. Like
Oh.
he has his own book club going on,
Mhm.
and he's catching up on the literature of the past 700 years.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then yeah,
Things
trying
like
to
the Odyssey and something else, like shit I read in high school that they forced
yeah,
stuff like that, I think, like classics.
and he's trying to, I guess, mentally acclimate to what the gold,
Hmm.
I guess, like mindset's gonna be. But yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. Like not like confused, like I don't understand what's going on, but confused like how this is gonna work out. Because he's
Yeah,
gonna become a gold, and then he's gonna, I guess, what, just rise in the ranks, and then at some point do something. I feel like there's gonna be a point where he's gonna, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. And like I kind of like how this book, like I'm not really sure of him and his
right,
capabilities. So I
right.
do think that's a positive like setup because I'm just like he's gonna fuck up and he's not that tough. I don't think like in tough in like a vindictive anger revenge kind of way. Like I feel like
Yeah.
he's gonna fail a lot because that's what
Hmm.
he's been doing. Like
Yeah.
honestly, he's failed like nonstop. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you expect is gonna happen next? Like what do you think
Um,
about this whole process? And then also like the whole carving element, like he's becoming this
yeah.
god figure.
It's the carving. So I'll talk about that first, just because I'll get into like what I think or what I hope might happen. But the carving in and of itself is such a, I guess, like foreign concept, because we have the concept of plastic surgery, but
Yeah.
plastic surgery in this 21st century is adding on to what you already have, right? It's like, okay, we're either changing what you already got, so we're taking something away,
Hmm.
or we're adding something, and
Yeah.
we're just like, it's just like minimal modifications. Like, I mean, yeah, you can get a tummy tuck, you can get blah blah blah, it doesn't matter, but like in this aspect, and I think that's why they call it the carving, I mean, it is literally like they are changing him. It feels like almost down to a genetic level.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's going through brain surgery, right? To get his neurons to fucking to run like a gold would,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
he's getting, new muscles, new tendons, new skin. Cause I mean, shit, they're shaving away at all of the scars and the
Oh
imperfections.
yeah.
Even has smaller pores now. Like his hair is different, his eyes are different. Like everything, they are basically taking everything that made him him and
Hmm.
throwing that shit in the garbage. And they're like, we are just going to basically start over. And it seems like it is such a long, extensive,
Painful.
dangerous,
Yeah.
painful transformation. And I think
Yeah.
that's just wild that he has to go through this much to become what a gold is. And again, I will say, I don't think that's that far fetched, considering I don't know what year this is, but I just imagine once we have these capabilities, because I think at some point we will. We already have basic ones, just basic modifications, like I said, plastic surgery. Once we
Yeah.
get to a point where our technology will allow for these types of modifications to the human body, there will be breeding and genetic
Mm-hmm.
modification that allows for people to choose. I want my kid to be fucking 6'4",
Yep.
250 pounds, all muscle. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Where, okay, well, damn, now those are the fucking, what are those, the obsidians, or are those the silvers? What, whoever are the silvers, I think the tin pots,
Yeah.
soldiers, like, but I think the obsidians are huge as fuck too. So it's like that will come into play at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how little of it is essentially the only thing that is left of Darrow at the end of this carving is his mind, which is, even that has been changed. So there's
Yeah.
really no part of him when he goes through this carving, when he becomes a physical gold at the end of it,
Yeah.
that is the same. He is a completely different person. I hope that he can acclimate. My understanding is that he's going to go to some academy or some type of school
Yes. Yeah.
institute, and, kind of go from there and make his way up through the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how the hell he's going to adjust to that situation.
Yeah.
So
So,
I guess we'll just have to see.
and that is the I think it's called a passage. Yeah, the
Mhm.
passage, which is going to be like a test of 100 newly chosen students in each
Okay,
of the
okay.
12 houses. I don't remember what the houses are called, but yeah, he has to like get into a house and then take this passage test,
Oh,
which I
okay.
guess is going to be some like Hunger Games level shit. And then he's going to be like, look at my new bod.
Wow. So yeah, so this is it's gonna be hard for him because a gold is nothing like a, and mind you, he's not just a high red. He has no idea of
Yeah,
what society is like. This dude has been living
a rock.
underground,
Yeah.
literally, for all his life, and every generation before him has been doing the same thing. He has no idea what life is like, what society is like,
Mm-hmm.
what a gold is actually like. That's the part that I think is the craziest, because it'd be one thing to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
act like a billionaire. Me, I don't know what the fuck a
Yeah, I
billionaire
wouldn't know
is
what to
like.
fucking do, man.
I wouldn't know how to act, right? Like, I have no idea,
Yeah.
aside from maybe seeing them on a TV. And that's exactly the type of information he has to go off of. He's seen
Mm-hmm.
them on that HC thing that they play the same shit over and over and over again. That's all he's got.
I'm excited to see what happens next, though. I am hooked.
I'm
Even though
rooting.
I don't know, I kind of hope he fucks up a little bit though, because I feel like he deserves it.
I'm sure he will, because again, he's a kid, so I keep having to keep
Yeah,
that in mind. Like, he's gonna make mistakes, and he doesn't fucking know what the fuck is going on. He
yeah,
hasn't spent, even though he's 16. It's not like he spent the first 16 of years of his life preparing for this. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? The dude just, I mean, I don't remember how long the carving lasts, but I think he said a few months.
Oh
It took a few
shit!
months to get through this. So he's
Damn.
on 16 years of his life, knowing what he knows, living the life he lived, to bam, all of a sudden he's got a few months to change
Yeah.
his way of thinking.
God
It's crazy.
damn.
And most
Yeah.
of it he spent in the bed in pain, in a coma, because they put him in a damn medical coma because he's in so much pain. His body's going through all it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't even spent most of that time studying.
Yeah,
So,
and he's just been having his nightmares about Ao and
mm-hmm,
half burnt lady face, and
exactly.
we will have to see. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this first 12 chapters. I'm feeling real good right now. So,
Yeah.
are you feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
I think that's gonna wrap up our first official episode of our breakdown of the first 12 chapters of Red Rising. Just want to say you all. I want to thank all of y'all so much for listening to this little breakdown. It's been a lot of fun. And then I don't have any of the socials claimed yet, but I'm pretty sure they're all going to be at Read Drink Talk. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can go check all that stuff out. Let's see, what else do I have to plug? Oh, my movie podcast, Cineverm. If you want to check that out. My video game news podcast, Headset Chat. My YouTube channel, A Lonely Critic. And yeah, did you have anything to plug, Ariel?
Nope. This is this is the only thing I got going on for me. So
Okay. But yeah, I'm very excited for the next part of this book. Like I'm so excited to wake up tomorrow
yeah,
with a
awesome.
slight headache. and start reading.
Yeah, the like mini hangover. But yeah, so that was one thing. Like I know we were kind of texting as the week went on, like, hey, like how much I know you didn't get your books till Tuesday. I didn't start reading until you got your books. So I started
Hmm.
the same day you started. But
Hmm.
I wanted like once I was like getting into the book, I wanted so badly to ask you like what do you think? Like, do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to know because I know you aren't a fiction reader. So
Yeah.
my thing, especially because I did not remember. I remembered like Mars, but that's it. Like, I did
Hmm.
not really remember. And I'm like, damn, this is fiction. Like, we have thrown him into the fucking deep on the first book. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted so badly to ask you. So I mean, like, so are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it. And I'm
Okay.
learning a lot. Like I'm learning a lot about because this is a very popular book from
Mhm.
my understanding. It's like a New York Times bestseller. It's very successful,
Mhm.
big old series. You know, they want to make a Netflix series or Amazon series about it.
What the fuck? I would watch that for sure. I'd probably be
Yeah.
bad at it, but yeah, wow, okay.
But yeah, so it's like a very popular, text. So it's interesting reading it and like trying to be like, okay, I do some of these things, or like, oh, I don't do this, or maybe I over describe. So like as a writer, I'm like comparing it to my work
Mm-hmm,
and being
mm-hmm.
like, because like if it was me, the whole first part where Ao dies, that would be a whole ass 500-page book. Like
Right.
I could have written about that for the rest of my life, just their relationship. Um, but it's really smart how this guy is laying it out. Like I said, like
Yeah.
I do have my complaints about it. Like I do want more, but also I see the point of it's moving you along. Like it
Yeah,
feels
for
like a
sure.
page turner. Like you
For
finish a page and you're
sure,
like,
for sure.
all right, what the fuck is gonna happen next? This
Yeah.
motherfucker. Like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that is really cool and interesting. And yeah, like the general story, besides I don't know, I think this is also on purpose, is Darrow is to me so far kind of like a weak character. Like I'm not really connecting with him. I don't really care about him. I feel angry at him a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm like, bro, come on, do something
Yeah.
or be something or yeah, so that part's a little bit of a negative, but I can see that I think he's going somewhere with that thread. And then yeah, the just general like the suspense, like the fact that I don't really know what's going to happen next, I think that's a
Yeah.
really good thing. Like, and that's really hard to nail as a writer. Like it's hard to make something interesting, and so far I'm like super interested. I'm interested in the
Okay.
society. I have no idea how he's going to collapse. Like are we talking about full collapse, like all
Right.
golds are slaughtered? Like is he
Right.
just going to
Right.
break the whole system down? Because that's what I'm wanting now. Like now he's set up an
Yeah.
expectation that
Yeah.
like okay,
Like, I fucking hate these
everything's
bitches.
yeah, yeah,
Everything's gotta go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious if like how big they get into that. Like, are we going to see the downfall and then like, oh shit, how do we build this up? Because that's like another part a lot of people don't think about. Like, honestly, maybe Ao wouldn't even have thought about like, yeah, let's kill them all and burn it all down. But then it's like, well, what
Then
do
what
you do?
happens?
Yeah, what do you do with the pieces?
Yeah.
Like, do you
Yeah.
make another government or society that's as fucked up as that, or like,
Right. And who's in charge then?
mm-hmm.
You
Because then
know?
you're just repeating the same, and that's the
Exactly. Because
history
who
of
thinks they can take
humanity.
over at that point? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're gonna have a lot to talk about because if all this shit happened in the first 12 chapters, this shit's about to get crazy.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck's about to happen after this because that was a lot to talk about in 12 chapters.
Thank you so much, all for listening, and we'll see you next week with the next 12 chapters. Oh, and if you can, if you like this, if you liked hearing us talk about it, leave us a review, a rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and share us with your friends or family, as that would really help us in spreading the word of these cool books and just having a good time talking about the ideas and concepts in these books. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.